What's up, internet? Welcome to my channel, and if you are new, please don't forget to like, comment, probably share, and most importantly, don't forget to subscribe. This is Brian Ula, and so most probably for more of the Benue people, there's been a lot of stuff going on the internet recently about some political big wings, and there are a lot of narratives about it. And I was privileged enough to be close, in an environment where a number of, some of the big men, had to explain what was happening. And I just felt like just capture this and put it up for whoever wants to see and would be interested in knowing what exactly happened. This is particularly about what happened at the burial of one of Benue's prominent sons, Wantaregh Paul Unongo, whose burial was just recently. A lot of drama happened there, and people have had a lot to say, but I was privileged, just like I said, to see these people explain what really happened. And I just felt to put it up here so you get to see for yourself. This does not in any way, try to reflect my personal opinion. It's just out there for you to see and understand what really happened. Thank you.
And immediately after his speech, the national anthem was about to be sung. I want to give a narrative clearly so that everybody will understand what really took place. And then His Excellency the SGF rose from his seat and drew close to the podium. When he came to the podium, it was at that point that even the governor knew that he was there. And then he was asking the governor that he should allow him to speak. That will you share me in Tiv language was saying, Governor, and the governor felt that he would put aside the protocol, which means nobody speaks after him, and allow the son of the soil, who is the SGF, to also give a comment, to give his own funeral orations. Before His Excellency, let me draw back a little. The various sons of Benue gave their funeral orations, and everybody went straight to court. Aside the funeral orations, every thief son that mounted the podium was out for peace. Everybody was preaching peace and peace and peace, including His Excellency. If you listen to the speeches of these various sons, that was what took place. And when His Excellency now graciously or magnanimously granted the SGF the privilege to speak, he left the funeral orations. He didn't say anything about what he said about the burial of the death of Paul was that he brought a letter from His Excellency, the Mr. President, signed by him, a condolence letter. That was all he said about it. And then he went mentioning names of prominent thief sons and trying to castigate them as cheerleaders and all that. This was almost causing commotion in that place. It was the governor stood by him. He did not utter a word, and he said all this to a reasonable extent. So, when you make a king, kingmakers are not kings. They are not necessarily kings. If you make a king, you bow to the king and greet and hail the king. The king at that point have all the privileges and rights of that particular seat he occupies. This is what is here. The governor of Benue State. Most people look at him now as a mere preacher of the gospel. He's no longer a mere preacher of the gospel. He's the executive governor of Benue State. I should be accorded that respect accordingly. So whereas in a situation he has a kind of skilled or played down the respect that is meant for him. What I mean by that is scaling down the protocol of him being the last person to speak and giving anybody the privilege to speak. The person is supposed to reciprocate the gesture by going straight to point. If I were the SGF, I would go straight to point and make my funeral orations and leave the podium. But he didn't do that. So this caused a lot of tension That led to the press release that came up from the Koda. The President General Dikon made the press release on behalf of Koda. That was it. He was trying to say that no, his son should not be stampeded. Nobody should stampede him, because nobody has ever stampeded any governor in Benue. And Reverend Father Hyacinth Iormem Alia's case cannot be different.
Thank you very much. Yes, it should not be stampeded, Deacon to Yaji. Before now, development indices were a challenge in Benue.
Yes.
Let's just go to the recent past. You could see development was at the very low ebb.
Yes.
Retirees and serving civil servants were just walking corpses in Benue. But now the bones are beginning to regenerate and begin to come together. And things are happening even in RAMP now. They have a permanent office and things. Professor Christopher Gamuatu is at Yande. They are trying to regenerate the swine factory that was the industry that was established there. And there was no rancor, there was no misgivings about this. And then we are seeing a change, and then we are having this narrative. Is this healthy for Benue State?
It's not quite healthy. But wherever you want to do things differently from what has been happening, you will receive attacks. We are seeing what we have not seen before, except during the government of Wantaregh. We were young men then. We graduated, we came. I never attended any interview. I just received a letter of appointment to work at the Ministry of Works. And you've seen the development up to today, what he did. That's what we are seeing now. But the people will not want it. Man is created in that manner, evil. He's born evil. And until he receives Christ, he will always toe the path of evil. We are seeing development. The evil people do not want it. People are paid their salaries. People are paid pensions and gratuity. I never expected Benue to be happy that the federal government increased salaries. Benue is paying more than the federal government. Before now, nobody received salaries. We are seeing roads being made, standard roads, with drains. We are seeing land development, the type that Professor Moa is already on. And they are on. There's another one they are working on, about 2,400 hectares of land. So, if the governor calls young men, about 1,200 of them, and gives each person 2 hectares, gives them the implements for whether rice or beans or corn. If it is rice, I know that a hectare of land gives around 35, 40 bags of rice. So that's 80. And it's sold at around 70,000 the bag. So that's 5.6 million naira for that young man. And there are 1,200 of them. And you brought them onto that land. You made sure that they kept the rules. They constituted themselves into cooperative societies. And the government helps them to cultivate, to plant, and to harvest. That's what they will make. They are working on those lands.
So, Deacon Toyaji, go over that so that the youths listening to us, yes, just go over that so that the youths listening will know that they should key into this project and there should be peace in Benue State.
Let me say, I don't know if I should turn around and blame the government. The government is doing what the people do not know yet. The government is developing one piece of land, about 2,400 square meters. Hectares of land. And what the government intends doing is call young, this unemployed youth, graduates. If you take 1,200 of them, you give them 2 hectares of land. You help them to cultivate, to plant and to harvest. If it is rice, The least yield they will have is 35 bags per hectare. For 2 hectares, that is 70
bags of rice.
Yes. Then if they sell at giveaway, it will be 70,000 naira and 70. That's 4.9 million naira. You can tax them. You can tax them. They will pay. So 4.9 million naira times 1,200. What do you have? It runs into billions. That's just one spot. That is just one spot. These are things the government is doing. Apart from what you are seeing physically, because this is in the hinterland. The land we're having issues with Fulanis in Gwe West, Guma. Who farms there? Why were they left fallow? Why were they left fallow? The roads you are seeing, have you seen such roads? We in Kunav, we have advised the governor, you must do what others never did. To make a difference. And we are seeing it. We are seeing these differences being made. But like I told you, the human being was born wicked. He was born into sin. Until he receives Christ, he will never see anything good about you.
Thank you very much, Deacon Toyaji. Yes, Professor Amwa, we're talking about the issues that transpired at Wantaregh Paul Unongo's burial and how we can engender peace and unity in Benue State so that we'll be able to make some reasonable progress. Yes, going forward, Professor Christopher, going forward, after what we have x-rayed that transpired there, what path should we took so that we can move ahead?
Very simple. Immediately after the funeral and what transpired there, just a few hours ago, the governor inaugurated gubernatorial liaison officers. That was another innovation in governance in Benue State. And if you listen to, I'm glad the Radio Benue, this station rebroadcasted it yesterday night. I listened to it again, and I was so excited because what needs to be done going forward, the governor expressed, captured it totally in that speech he gave at the inauguration of the gubernatorial liaison officers. Firstly, democracy is about the people. Abraham Lincoln says, government of the people, by the people, for the people. And that means whatever we call dividends of democracy, like the governor expressed, must trickle down to the lowest person in the state. And that is the function. Therefore, if you look at what transpired at the funeral, it was by every definition, semantic definition, a breach of peace. It was an attempt at inciting chaos in the state. And chaos and development, chaos and dividends of democracy are antithetical. They don't go together. But the governor cancelled that effect, and that roadmap he initiated yesterday at the inauguration of gubernatorial liaison officers is the way to go. So that we shift away, because what happened at the funeral was actually an attempt to take the minds of Benue people away from all the plethora of developmental projects that the governor is doing, which the Kinyaji mentioned here. Personally, I am cultivating, working on a land in Buruku local government. I can tell you, the governor sent me there, and these same people were saying, you whole professor, is he in the farm that you will go? Because of the kind of destruction they wanted to bring. But thank God I am not raised that way. Today, we are harvesting. Just between August and now, we are harvesting. You are talking about rice, Deacon. How much is Benue seed? It's close to 200,000 naira a bag. Close to 200,000. And we did Benue seed over 20 hectares. And we are harvesting just between August and now. So you can imagine when I told His Excellency that, Your Excellency, sir, we are harvesting our Benue seed and our maize. You know what he said? He said, congratulations. And he said it yesterday at the inauguration of the GLOs that young people will be brought in and incentivized to do what Benue is known for. And that belongs to them. The money they make from these funds belong to them. That is the way to go, not to allow this mischief. I call it mischief to development. I'm not name calling anybody, but we are all following the governor to develop Benue State. And what was brought on the podium was to distract Benue people's attention from what the governor is doing painstakingly, to begin to follow. You can imagine what happened. 2 days after that event, the social media was awash with interpretations, misinterpretations, and disinterpretations of what happened. And the rich leaders came in to begin to fan embers of discord. And once these embers take the center stage, development will be truncated. So the way forward for every Benue young person is not to sit on social media and join mischief that is brought against the Benue people, but is to follow His Excellency diligently. There is no way you follow this man and you will not see through the tunnel that Benue is now into the light that we are seeing ahead if you follow this man. So that is my advice, that the governor is clear-headed, he knows where he's going, and all he requires is for us all to join hands with him, especially those that are young, to develop Benue together with them.